Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, and Terra Firma, and Romeo and Juliet, we like to kick back and listen to Without Your Head, because Without Your Head is the greatest entertainment on the face of the earth. Yes, listen to Without Your Head. The Troma team does, and the Troma team's been around for 35 years.
Welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
This is Annabelle Lecter.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
Yes. And joining us here right off the bat, well, let's take 11 minutes late for us, but we have cult movie icon. He's in Troma films. He's in tons of movies. He has a lot of comedy skits out there, and he's in Ungovernable Force by Ungovernable Films. We have Bill Weeden on the line.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, sound like a truck was going by. Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah. How you doing?
Well, it's great. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I heard that that you're in Woodstock currently.
I'm in Woodstock right now, yeah. We have two places. We live in New York City, and then we live in Woodstock as well. And right now you're talking to me from Woodstock.
Nice.
Would you like to do some stone carving this coming week for free?
You know, that sounds really great. You do that up in Hunter, do you?
Well, you know, it's Neil said it pretty early on, but I will just put it out there that for the coming week of the 25th through, I think, how late is it running? The August 6th?
Into the year,
August,
yeah, like the first week of August.
Well, I'll double check, but it starts the 25th, and a friend of ours, Kevin Van Henrik, who is in the Basket Case movies, he became a professional carver, and he has a free stone carving seminar in Hunter/Tannersville. You just show up. Yeah, if you know what. What's that?
You don't have to register in advance or anything.
Nope.
You
show up. You show up, and he's got a bunch. If it's really busy, sometimes you have to wait for equipment, or you might have to use a hand chisel for a little while. But it's pretty rare. Usually, everybody is accommodated, and it goes from hand chisels to power tools. It's amazing. He's got a million bits, and
that's the week of August 5th.
So, it starts the 25th. Let me double check really quick. There's a page over here.
It's the end of this month till
Hunter. If anybody wants to look it up on Facebook, it's the Hunter Stone Carving Seminar. It's comes right up in the search, and it is running from.
Yeah, I'd mentioned this to Bill last night because it's very cool, it's fun, and it's free, and you learn how to carve stone. And if you're artistic, or if you're not artistic like myself, you can do it.
There's children.
Himself carving Frankenstein, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he says that you're much better at it, Annabelle.
Well, I've been doing art for a long time, but it is the 25th through the 6th, and it starts out between 9 and 10 in the morning, I think, most days, and runs through usually 5 to 6. So it's a long day, and Kevin walks around the whole day checking in with people. You can go up to him at any time. He's really an excellent teacher. When we went the first year, Neil was very hesitant and almost basically like canceled. And I really had to talk him in and say, you gotta do it because it's gonna be fun. And he was really, really didn't want to do it, but he did it, and he's loved it. And we've been back. He can't make it this year because he's still recuperating from some health stuff. But
yeah, he told me that. Yeah, that sounds very good. It sounds like it's going to work out good, though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah. So,
that's good.
Yeah. So, Bill, how did you? You mentioned Troma at the beginning. How did you get involved in Troma? Like, were you?
Go on.
I was just asking how you got. I was just asking how you got involved with Troma.
Right. Well, I had been interested in Troma ever since the Toxic Avenger came out. I remember reading the first write-up on the Toxic Avenger. I remember where I was. It's funny how you can remember certain things. I remember exactly where I was, and I read this little review of Toxic Avenger, and it said and the way I described it sounded like something I would really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see it, and I did. I thought it was great. I mean, it was the quintessential Troma film. It's like, all the things that Troma is described as being, that had. And it was also very, 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 very funny, of course. And then I followed it up with Captain Newcomb, and I thought that was an amazing film. It had this unique quality of actually turning me on at the same time. It was very funny. It was very horrific, but it really turned me on. So that was really weird how it did that. And so around this time, my first marriage was breaking up, and I had been a songwriter. My first career was as a songwriter, and then my career became a singer-songwriter. I began to perform my own work, and then I was part of a trio, and we did a lot of corporate entertainment. We toured the country, Fortune's magazine, of other companies, writing and performing comic material about business, and that was good. And that was in the '80s, and then my marriage broke up in '89, and I found myself, like betwixt and between. I didn't know where my life was going, and I decided I would make an attempt to be what I'd always wanted to be, which was an actor. And so I started buying trade publications and sending my picture out. And one of the first things that I found was this thing. It did not describe the movie. It did not describe anything except it said it was a movie that they were casting that was being produced by a well-known company that made horror films. Mm-hmm. And in my brain, I said, that sounds like Troma, and I am definitely going to submit for it. So I submitted for it out of, a cold submission. And I got a call that I should come in and audition. And later on, I found out that one of the main reasons that I got the call was Lloyd Kaufman, who, as you know, is the head of Troma, his wife, Pat, were going through these videos that they saw from the auditions. This is after I'd come in and done a video for them. They were going through the videos, and Pat said to Lloyd, "That guy looks like Jack Valenti." Now I don't know whether you remember who Jack Valenti is. He was the head of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and he was very, very much a union man, and had been very dismissive of Troma, and in fact had shot them down. Mm-hmm. So Lloyd had a tremendous animus toward Jack Valenti. Well, I do look like Jack Valenti. I'm often told that I look like certain people, and most of them I think that's not true. In fact, most of it is bullshit. But I did look like Jack Valenti. So they said, wouldn't it be great to cast the villain in this movie as somebody who looks like our favorite villain? So that, and the fact that I did a good audition, I guess, I didn't disgrace myself on film. They called me in, and it's right, the call back, and I came up with the call back. I left the office, and I was walking down the street, and I remember they called me from a block. They're like, "No!" I thought, "Oh my God!" They called me back, so I took it back, and I got the part. And that's how I got the part of Reginald Stewart in Sgt Kabukiman.
And I googled pictures, and I do definitely see the resemblance.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, no. There definitely is a resemblance. Yeah, I mean, I'm sometimes told I look like Marlon Brando, and in certain instances, shadows I do. My profile is something like Brando, but I don't look like Brando. And I'm told I look like Tito Puente, Augusto Lear. I'm told I look like Anthony Hopkins, Steve Martin, all sorts of people. But I think that's mostly wrong. But I do look like Jack Valenti, so they had a point. And so anyway, I'm happy I look like Jack Valenti because that's how I got the part. And what a ball that was.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool for your first movie to be, to do in a Troma movie, especially when you were familiar with them and liked their stuff.
Totally, yeah. And of course, we had a typically traumatic experience with that. It was amazing. The final sequence may remember, there's a big final sequence on the waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm there, I turn into a monster and all that stuff. I make the transformation into the evil one or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that all took place. The big reveal, the big monster reveal, took place on Halloween. So what a Halloween that was!
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, so appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
The best Halloween I ever had because
Yeah.
I got to be the ultimate Halloween monster. It was great.
Yeah. What was that transformation scene like to shoot? Was it hard to do? Was it fun to do, or both?
No, it wasn't because there was no CGI, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was all very hands-on. I was fitted with this big green mask, and I'm trying to think how they did the teeth because all my teeth fall out in that scene. I was given fake teeth, I guess. I can't remember the thing with the teeth exactly, but I spent a good long time in the makeup room, and prior to that, they had done a life mask of me, so they had all that. My features were all on file, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and that night we just spent a long time getting that thing ready, and then I just went out there and did it. And it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah. What's coming out of your mouth during the scene?
It was some kind of goop. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was very goopy. It was really good. I don't know what they used. I did a play once called Cannibal Cheerleaders on Crack. Have you ever heard of that play?
No, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, we'd go see it if it was.
It was the longest running play in Chicago history. It was a total cult thing in Chicago. And it came to New York for a brief period of time for its New York debut, and I played one of the parts in that. We had every kind of secretion that could come out of a human body. We did. We had the semen was done from dishwashing liquid, and we had chocolate pudding for shit, and it was amazing. So next to that, I should have did that after Kabukiman, but I've done a lot of shit and goop.
Does that go on the resume?
It's funny because somebody pointed out that on my resume I had As You Like It, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Cannibal Cheerleaders on Crack.
I love it.
Because I've done quite a bit of Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
You're a versatile guy, though. You got a lot going for you.
I think I am, yeah. And I've done musicals. I did the Rocky Horror Show. I toured the Rocky Horror Show. That was great.
Oh, nice. That must have been a really good time.
That was so much fun. That was great. And I was in Little Shop of Horrors. So I've done the two horror musicals.
Yeah, and the audiences are great for both of those, but Rocky Horror, it's just amazing.
Well, Rocky Horror was amazing because we went from city to city, and in every city that we went to, there was already built-in cult for Rocky Horror. They give us parties wherever we went. We got a party, and it was amazing because I played the man with no neck.
Yeah. That's the Tim Curry is in the new one. That character. What's the hell is it called? I know who you're talking about. He's the guy that talks and does all the introductions and everything.
Yeah, on stage it's called the narrator. In the movie, it's called the criminologist.
Yes.
And popularly, it's called the man with no neck because the man in the movie had no neck, and just appropriately, I have no neck. So, that was just a coincidence.
So that's another one to put on the resume. No neck. Eats goop,
neck.
Plays with poop and sperm, and no neck.
And can sing.
No neck. My ass is a continuation of my legs, and my neck does not exist.
So you're like a tube.
You got it.
Who did you play in Little Shop of Horrors?
Mr. Mushnik, the owner of the store. I got eaten by a plant.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great. It was really fun. I did that in Atlantic City.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's actually the first musical I went to. Not, it wasn't, you weren't in it, but that was the first musical I went to alive, was playing in California.
In California, really? It's a great show. It's really a great show.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the movie, of course, right?
Oh yeah. I saw the movie first, but then I saw the play, and it was really cool seeing the play because there was such a variety of people. There was like like regular people, then there was people with like dressed in tuxedos with their little binoculars and stuff, and
Right.
it was a fun experience.
And you've seen the original black and white movie, the Roger Corman movie. Yeah.
That movie's hilarious. It's great. The comedy in that is wonderful.
I remember the first time I saw that, it was late at night. I was a teenager. I was sitting there in my house, and this movie comes on. It felt like it was underwater. I didn't know where this movie was coming from, but it was like from another world. It was so strange. And I remember being really very amused by it, but also extremely freaked out by it. It was really creepy at the time.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's overlooked a little bit because of the newer movie. But...
Oh yeah, and because the musical was great, and then it was great. It was made into a very good musical movie, but the original one is totally different. It's like sound art or something. It doesn't seem. It seems to ascribe a subterranean depth or something. It doesn't. It's really weird. It's like Cannonball from Outer Space, except good.
Yeah. Dom DeLuise. Yeah. What was that?
It's good in a different way. But.
The one I saw was Dom DeLuise played the role that you played, Mr. Mushnick.
Really? Oh, yeah. Really? No kidding. Who played the lead? Do you remember?
I have the book somewhere around here, but I don't remember. I don't think it was, it wasn't a name that I don't know if they went on to do anything else, but I just remember Dom DeLuise was Mr. Mushnick. And I remember the guy who did the dentist was great. It was totally different than the movie, but his take on it was still awesome.
Jack Nicholson was the original. No, he wasn't the dentist.
He was
the patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's so funny.
He was the masochist, and then in the movie, the dentist was Steve Martin, and then I forget who played the patient. Oh, it was Bill Murray was the patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that Jack Nicholson's first movie? I know it was one of the first ones.
He was the masochistic patient in the black and white version. He's the only one that has a name. Jonathan Hayes was Seymour, and Jackie Joseph was Audrey, but nobody knows them to speak of. I mean, I do, but nobody else does. and you probably know them.
Yeah. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer stage acting or film acting?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say. I like them both in completely different ways. I think if it was pushed to the answer, I'd say I prefer film acting. But I love acting on stage because you really can. There's an immediacy to it that you just can't duplicate. Mm-hmm. What I love about film is that you get to do things more than once. You get to try to fine tune them. The thing is unfortunate about film, I think, is you have to wait so long between takes. That can be kind of I don't want to say boring because it's not boring because I always have something to do, but it's kind of frustrating. You wait for the shot to be set up, and then you have to do your thing in about 2 seconds. But I love the challenge of doing film acting because you really cannot overdo on film. It reads terrible. Of course, in Troma you can overdo, but in non-Troma films, you have to sort of play it for real. I mean, in Kabukiman, I can never accuse myself of playing it real. I mean, it's the climax of Kabukiman is. I mean, I don't apologize for it, but it's ham bones for sure.
Mm-hmm. What was it like having the tiger on there for the finish of the movie?
Well, I didn't interact with the tiger at all.
Oh, okay.
But there was a trainer there on call, and the tiger was pretty tame. But the animal that was really out of control was that monkey. He was really horrible. That monkey.
That bastard.
He really was something else, that monkey. He was really difficult to deal with. I didn't have to deal with it, but I know everybody else was having a terrible monkey. It was funny. It was funny.
Yeah. That we've had lots of people who've worked with Lloyd Kaufman on the show, and some of them don't have like positive things to say about him. Some of them do. What are your thoughts on Lloyd Kaufman?
Oh, I think Lloyd is just great. I mean, he's I mean, in a very generic and not literal way, he's crazy. He's a very, very out there person. He doesn't hold back. He's extremely fun to work with. He's supportive. He's completely out there. I mean, he's really just out there. But when he's directing, Max is an actor sort of as a person. But when he's directing, he's sort of like he gives you some direction, but basically lets you do what you want to do. And if he doesn't like it, he'll tell you. He's like a lot of other directors, except he's sort of more fun than a lot of them. He's definitely a character. I mean, that's
yeah.
We've each met him a few times, and he seems awesome. It's weird because the few people we've had on that have kind of alluded to some negativity. It's a shame because he just seems like an awesome, really fun guy to be around. His wife is wonderful too. She's what a great balance to him. She's awesome.
She's amazing, and of course, I owe Sgt Kabukiman for that. So I think that's because she was going to stop and say, "Wait a minute, look at that guy." And Lloyd said, "Yeah, you're right." But what do people say about Lloyd? I mean, can you give me what did they say that's negative?
Well, it's people that have made films and they allude to there's some kind of I guess shadiness. I personally have not heard anything specific, except for one guy we're friendly with, and the movie's awesome. Bloodsucking Freaks is their director, is Joel Reed, and he lost the rights to his own movie, which does kind of,
I know that Troma does a bit of, I tend to blame Michael Hurst more than Lloyd, I think, for that.
Mm-hmm.
He's the business guy, and he tends to be more of that sort of person. Mm-hmm. And they met at Yale, which is my alma mater too. So Yale.
Oh, what did you study in Yale? You ended up in all this entertainment stuff, but it sounds like you didn't necessarily start with acting.
Well, I was an English major, but then I wrote musicals at Yale. See, I started out by writing songs. That was my original career. I was a good songwriter, and I wrote songs at my prep school, and then I wrote them at Yale. I wrote shows, and I wrote the graduation songs, and
oh wow.
I was a songwriter. That's why I came to the city to be a songwriter, and began to write songs.
I was going to say, you must have been pretty good if you were the songwriter for a Yale graduation song.
Yeah, and they were fun, and we still sing them. I was and am a good songwriter. I don't do it anymore because I only want to do it if I get paid. So the last song I wrote was for my Yale reunion, but in the meantime, I've switched career. I've become an actor, so I don't really do that anymore. But at the moment, my songwriting partners and I are involved with creating a demo for a musical we wrote years ago, which still hasn't gotten the production that we want from it. It's been done in a couple of regional productions, but we'd like to get some more action on it. So we're doing a very high-class demo with some very high-end Broadway people and singing our songs. So we're in the middle of that right now. In fact, I came from a recording session today.
What kind of stuff do you tend to do?
Well, it started out largely comedy. There were comedy songs. We got a lot of very good notice from them. We were managed by Woody Allen's manager. My partner, I met my original partner in prep school. We went through Yale together. We became a songwriting team. Then we started performing our songs together. And then in the late 70s, we brought a woman on board. We became a trio called Weeden, Finkel, and Fay. Bill Weeden, David Finkel, and Sally Fay. And then we got hired by Fortune magazine to do their 50th anniversary show, and then we started to do corporate entertainment all around the country. We were covered on the Today Show and covered on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
Wow!
And that was my career. And that was my career in the '80s, and it was great. And but as I say, I'd always really wanted to be an actor. That was always what I wanted to be, but that was on hold until my marriage broke up, and I needed to do something for myself, and I decided to become an actor. And my first real big job was Kabukiman. So Kabukiman, it really changed my life.
Yeah.
And since then, I've done some really hot stuff. I was in the Fantastics, The Fantastics, which was the longest-running musical in the history of the American theater. I closed the original production in 2002 downtown in New York. And like I said, I toured with Rocky Horror. I toured with The Wizard of Oz. I did Old Shop of Horrors. I've done Damn Yankees. I've done a lot of musicals, a lot of Shakespeare. So I did a lot of stage work. I haven't done stage work in a couple of years now because I've been doing these comedy videos for Upright Citizens Brigade. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what I'm talking about? Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I've been watching some of them. I find them hilarious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I became about 5 years ago. I became their older man, their go-to older man. So I play. Right. I play a lot of videos. One of which you posted today, Neil. I noticed.
Yeah.
Author wrote a fucking book.
Yeah.
I thought it
was fantastic.
Author wrote a fucking book. It's really funny, and it's really a not so veiled, vicious parody of James Patterson and the way he promotes his pieces of crap on
Oh yeah, that cracked
TV.
me up. That was great.
I mean, I don't know what you feel about James Patterson, but I think he can't write, and that's basically what the special is about. I write chapters. I write sentences and become chapters. It's very funny. You should watch it. I guess you did watch it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was wondering at the end, this James Patterson guy, but
Yeah.
yeah, apparently he's not that great. He's just prolific.
He's prolific with an excuse. There's a lot of people to write them for him. If you notice, like at least half of his books are James Patterson in big letters, and then on the bottom, and someone else.
Oh,
For the last 10 years, it seems like every book's co-written with
It's
someone.
basically a ghost. They're ghostwritten. That's how he's.
oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
If you, the very last line of that author wrote a fucking movie. I say, oh, and by the way, James blow me.
Yeah, that was it. That was drawing me in.
That cracked me up.
James Patterson can blow me, right? Anyway, so I've done a lot of comedy videos for Upright Citizens and others. Lauren Michaels' Above Average company, and there's one, by the way, you should look at, which is a take-up on The Walking Dead. I mean, it would appeal to you, this website, you know. It's a funny take-up on the way people act on The Walking Dead.
Uh-huh.
Is there a title that you can think of so I can Google it up and post?
Google The Walking Dead Pocket Watch. That's the name of the then Upright Citizens Brigade. That my wife is on that one too, by the way. She is also a very funny woman and a very good actor. Dolores McDougall is her name. She's great. I mean, I remarried. Not the marriage that broke up. I remarried in '90. I remarried the mother of a friend of mine. He made a film. He's a filmmaker. He made a film, and he cast me in the male lead. His mother is the female lead. That's how we met. We got married in '90s.
Wow. Do you think he intentionally set that up so you would be his father?
I'm almost positive he did not, because it was no. I know. I'm totally positive he did not. Because it blindsided him. He had no intention of that happening. I was his friend, and she was his mother. I don't think he intended that to happen. But we're a very happy family. I have a daughter from my first marriage, and I have 2 grandsons now. So that's beautiful.
That's great.
Great family. Yeah. So, did you Google that thing?
Yeah, The Walking Dead Within Reason by Pocket Watch.
That's it. If you watch it, I'm on it, and my wife is on it, and
cool.
she's I won't tell you what she does. It's very funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like
and this is another one put out by UCB Comedy. If anybody wants to look up the channel on YouTube, it's the letters UCB Comedy.
I also did a thing for UCB, which was about Jaws.
Nice.
Take up what happened behind the scenes in Amityville. Or not Amity, but Amity Island, or whatever the place that Jaws.
Yeah, the island.
Amity Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See,
Amityville's another thing together. Amity Island. What happened to what the lesser known characters were talking about when people were dealing with sharks.
Zero.
We're gonna have to check out all of these.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've a caller on the line, 646 area code. Who are you?
This is Fesco Del Monte. What's going on?
Not too much. We're talking with Bill Weeden. You have a question?
Yeah, I got a question for Bill Weeden. Bill, have you been slaying any poetry lately?
Have I been doing what to any poetry?
Slaying any poetry. Have you found any bad poetry to slay or any good poetry to read? What's going on?
Bad poetry to read? No, it's not in my. I don't usually do that, but if you, I read some very good poetry recently by a poet I know named Adam McGovern, who I read some poetry by him recently, but I haven't been reading any bad poetry unless. Do you have some I should be reading?
Actually, no. I was just wondering, and I called, also to see about the Cheney thing. Evidently, one of those clones got loosed from the experiment down in the basement there at Langley. I don't know if you've been following that at all, but they had these like 12 Cheney clones that were like that they were working on for all these years. They were pretty authentic and everything. It was not a Cheney drone. It's different. It's a clone. It actually looks and talks like Cheney. It's like they practice. They're down there like cursing and stuff like that in the basement, like F yourself and stuff. They all day long, they just like sort of try and get ready in case, there might be like some call when, Cheney can't be somewhere and they got to send a clone just as a warm body or something. And,
Are you talking about Dick Cheney? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, I was wondering because I think there was a sighting down by the reflecting pool in D.C. and then the weirdest thing on the same day, also in Central Park of what appeared to be a Cheney clone. People think maybe it could be Cheney, but maybe not. The thing is, no one's ever seen one of the Cheney clones with Cheney at the same place, so maybe they're the same person. I don't know. I'm not sure.
One is plenty. One is plenty for me.
Yeah. So tonight, I just tuned in, and so what's the main topic? I'm sorry that I'm new to the program.
We're talking about my career as a cult horror icon, etc.
Yeah, it's just all the main topic is just Bill Weeden, basically.
Yes, Bill.
Well,
hey man, can you do me a favor? Can you say, and in this corner, Bill Weeden?
Me?
Because this fine gentleman who called in, because his voice is quite like loud and echoey, and I'm like, man, he sounds like he could be announcing a ring right now.
I think it's
and in this corner,
ding, 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 ding. Get back in there, Bill. Keep swinging. Oh my God.
Cut me, Mick.
Where are you calling from, sir? Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from the little-known area of out here. And it's just south. It's just south of the northern part of the area that's over here on 79th Street.
That's something to
Oh,
hide.
I got it. Yeah, I know this guy.
I am Professor Del Monte. I'm an MC. I introduce people. I do introductions. I say, hello, this is somebody, and they got some talent, and then that's what I do.
I totally called it. And in this corner, Bill Weeden.
Well, I saw Bill Weeden as Hamilton Fish. That was like pretty weird and bizarre.
I gotta tell you guys about that movie, Hamilton Fish. Did you hear about that?
No.
I only saw it. I saw it in your credits, but please do. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. This is a fascinating film that I made a couple of years ago, and it's just been released to Amazon and iTunes and stuff like that. And so it's available to watch now. It's fascinating. It's a rock opera about the true life of it's got horror overtones because it's about two men, Hamilton Fish, who died on the same day in January 1936. They were both named Hamilton Fish. One was the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury under Teddy Roosevelt, and the other one, who's more popularly known as Albert Fish, but his real name was Hamilton Fish, was a serial killer and cannibal who killed children.
Yeah, that's a scary man.
Mm-hmm.
He's the oldest man ever to be elected to the same thing.
Hold on, I'm going to have you pause, because our good friend on the phone, sir, I have to tell you that your breathing is going directly into your mic.
Or your phone.
Wait, you know what? I can put my phone on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My wife told me that I have to keep breathing. So I'll put it on mute though. And
All right, excellent.
Breathing is important. We definitely would like that.
Yeah, we
Stick
don't
around.
recommend anyone not to breathe.
It would be our first on-air death. No,
So
don't
as I
you?
was saying,
Keep breathing, please.
Go on now about Hamilton Fish.
Have you ever heard of Albert Fish?
Definitely.
Yeah. Scary.
Albert Fish has been called the holy grail for serial killer addicts, or whatever you call people who are really involved with getting to know all about serial killers.
Yeah.
Albert Fish is about the worst, and I play that character in this movie. And
Oh, wow.
It's a rock opera in which I and my co-star play the two Hamilton Fishes. We lip sync this extremely wonderful rock score by a woman named Rachel Mason. She wrote it, and she directed the movie, and she sings the entire score, but we play the part, and we mouth, we lip sync all this. It's fascinating. You should really give it a shot. I play a horrific character. It's not a gory movie, but it's about a very gory man. And
It's really
if you Google Albert Fish, you will find things that are worse than any horror movie I've ever seen. It was just a truly surreally horrible man.
Yeah, he was very badly abused, and then even the stuff he did to himself was sticking pins in himself and things like that. It's very terrible.
I have to tell you that I don't know what this says about me, but I have been cast on 4 separate occasions as child molesters.
Yikes.
I am such a pussycat. I'm such a pussycat. I mean, anybody who knows me knows what a pussycat I am. I've been cast 4 times as child molesters.
Yeah, just don't give you some candy. Don't put any candy in his hand, man. He'll be right out there.
Exactly. And another thing, I was cast twice in 1 year. I got cast in the most insane two roles in which I played a man walking a dog, and the dog urinates, and the dog's urination becomes the trigger for a plot point. 2 times in 1 year, I played man with urinating dog. It's so fun.
You've been typecast.
In one of the movies, the dog urinates and promotes a romance between Alan King, the old classic comic. I think it was his last part, and a woman that he meets on the street. They wouldn't have met if my dog hadn't urinated and stopped the cat. He was riding in, and he got out, and they met. And in the other one, it's a murder mystery, and my dog urinates, and the urination becomes DNA evidence in a murder. They were both in the same year. Man with urinating dog. Get that man. We have a urinating dog for it. Call Bill Weeden.
Another point on the resume. Dog urinating. But honestly, I mean, there's a lot of silly things that you've done, but it just sounds like such a fun career that you've had in acting.
I've had a wonderfully fun career, and I have a wonderfully fun life. I'm so grateful. I cannot believe that I'm having such a great life. I'm not a saint. I haven't. I shouldn't be getting all these goodies, but I am, and I have a great marriage now, with a great family, doing a lot of fun stuff. Got my birthday coming up August 8th.
Oh, well, happy birthday in advance.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Definitely. Now, I just want to mention, there's a free channel on Roku. It's Fright Picks. And,
oh, yeah. Kabukiman is on that.
Yeah,
right.
That's where I watched it, again, recently. I watched it when it came out at the time, and then I watched it, recently for the thing. And, Lloyd does a new intro for it, specifically for Fright Picks, which was really cool. And, he talked about when he made the movie, a lot of the ideas in it was because at the time in New York, there was a lot of things against Asian culture. They didn't, and this was kind of the parody of that. And I'm not familiar with that kind of thing. But do you remember that at the time where Asian culture was down upon?
Oh yeah. Well, see the 80s were the 70s in particular were very was extremely difficult in New York, and I think Lloyd and Troma glommed onto that, and they had a different take on that, a very specific take on urban life and urban, and racial relations and drugs and stuff like that. The Troma movies have a very serious undertone.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting. They're very, quote, silly on the surface and very over the top and very crazy, but underneath there's an underlying seriousness about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's I really think that's why they stand out from a whole crop of indie horror movies that people who want to be Troma, a lot of people who want to be Troma, they don't make it.
I totally agree, because when we, Toxic Avenger, it's really a lot of that's before its time, because there's so much anti-bullying messages in it, and it was never going to be bullied, but it wasn't really something that people talked a lot about until recently, and this was decades before that.
Totally. And speaking of non-trauma-ish movies, that the one that I made recently, The Ungovernable Force,
I agree,
is a really good. I mean, Lloyd is in that movie, and Lloyd has been promoting that movie, and that's because Paul, who directed it, and Dave and his staff, they really have glommed onto what makes trauma, and they're really. They have their own take on it, but it's got its own serious undertone, and that's, I think, why Lloyd appreciates it.
Yeah.
And in that movie, by the way, Lloyd plays the husband of my wife.
Yeah.
He plays his wife.
Yeah, I loved it. I get to see it, the screener, and that's what I love about their movies. Exactly what you said is, of course, they're crazy, they're graphic, there's all that stuff, but all of them also have great social messages.
Right. Well, The Ungovernable Force is about. I mean, it's about police brutality on one level.
And a lot about the dehumanization of the homeless.
That too. I play a homeless guy, and the leader of the homeless guy. I have a great part. It's really fun. I hope people get to see that movie because I think it's really good.
And you're kind of like the MGM Lion of Ungovernable films.
That's so funny. They asked me to do that.
That is awesome.
They would say that. it's so funny. Yeah, that thing came off well.
Uh-huh.
I'm very happy with that. It's so crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You better explain.
Yo,
You better explain what you mean.
Yeah, because the opening of the, everyone knows the MGM line in the beginning of the movie that roars, but in the beginning of all the Ungovernable, Ungovernable films, it's Bill Weeden breaking out of shackles and just going, Ungovernable Films! And,
just maniacal cackles.
uh-huh.
Feeling like what I'm doing now.
Yeah, so that was very cool of you to do that, and every time I see that, it really puts a smile on my face.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you just said about those guys. And so, how did that come about? How did you meet Paul?
What that thing? But
how did you get involved in their movies?
Oh, their movie. Oh, that was They were looking. They called me. They asked me if I would like to do their movie. They're looking for people that they admired from other films that they'd seen. Right, they got Tony Moran, from Halloween, and they have Debbie Rochon. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her name? Yeah, the Scream Queen. They were looking for people that they had seen in other movies, and they admired what they had done. And they wanted them to come on board and do this movie. And I guess they asked a lot of people. And some people probably said no. And I said yes because I wanted to do it. It sounded like fun. And I come from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I come from
you
England,
do?
which I'm sure you know. Because you're on the Cape, right?
Neil's on the Cape. I'm in Boston.
Yeah.
So
You're in
Neil
Boston?
should know.
Oh.
Yeah.
What town are you in on the Cape, Neil?
Sandwich. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Sandwich. Oh, Sandwich. Yeah, right. My parents lived in Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
but
Nice.
before that, we lived in Ham and Cohasset and Situate. It was all those South Shore towns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Troy's in Wareham.
Say again?
Troy's in Wareham.
Oh, Wareham. Yeah, Wareham. Right,
Mhm.
right.
Is it Wareham or Wareham?
I would say Wareham.
I thought it was Wareham. I thought it
think
was
it's
Wareham.
Wareham.
You can say
it's so
that.
funny the way
Everybody around here
the way-
says Wareham, though.
it's Ham. It's Ham. It's Needham. It's Dedham, but it's East Ham on the Cape. I don't get how they changed it. You can always tell when somebody's not from Massachusetts that they say Peabody.
Mm-hmm.
Peabody's folks, and the one I always get them. How do you pronounce Quincy? If they say Quincy, no, you're not from it. It's
Oh,
Quincy.
yeah, exactly.
It's definitely Quincy because that's the way John Quincy Adams pronounced his name, and that's whatever. that's how I get them.
Yeah. Have you seen the finished film? For
Of Ungovernable Force?
Yeah.
I think so. I got a they sent me something, and it was a while back. I think it was the finished film. It's possible they've been tinkering with it since, but it looked like it was the finished film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All my scenes were intact, so and I saw the whole thing. It's pretty out there, boy. It's pretty out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of energy in the movie too.
Oh my God, total energy. And Paul is a very energetic guy. He's great.
Mm-hmm. You see a lot of Paul in the movie too, more than I was expecting.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Full for if. But there's a really timely movie too, because you mentioned about the police in the movie, and the whole movie's about rising up against the police. So
Right.
it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be very controversial.
Yeah, with
right
all
now.
the stuff that's going on.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. And
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if they could promote that, I think that would be a great selling point for the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people are really into not feeling so great about the police. And I mean, it's been a terrible month. So
It has. But there's a lot going on. I mean, that's why it's relevant. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there sure is.
Mm-hmm.
It sure is. Yeah, it's hard to get just distribution. I mean, as you know, it's hard to get distribution. They just need to get somebody on board there and take that to the next level.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be hitting the festival scenes right now, but it doesn't have distribution for the DVD or Blu-ray yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you do it. I'm glad I'm not in that business, because I'm totally clueless on how you get things out there. But I know it can be done. Mm-hmm. My stepson, the one who introduced me to his mother as a filmmaker, he gets things out there, and it can be done. It can be done. And his name is Eric Schaefer, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And he's done a lot of films.
Well, what films has he done?
He did his biggest movie was one called If Lucy Fell, in which he appeared with Sarah Jessica Parker and Ben Stiller, McPherson. And he did My Life's in Turnaround and Boy Meets Girl and Never Again, and but titles you may or may not know, but they're all very, very interesting films. Boy Meets Girl came out last year, and it's a really good transgender romantic comedy. It's about a transgender woman. It's really good. I mean, the title of Boy Meets Girl says it all, you know.
Mm-hmm. That sounds really familiar, the Boy Meets Girl one. I must have heard of that at some point.
Yeah, it came out last year. It got great reviews. It's really good. I've been in several of his films, and so is his mother. So we got that other thing going too.
Yeah. So, what did you think of Paul as a director?
Oh, Paul was really good. I mean, he knows what he wants. He's very precise. He tells you exactly what he wants, and if you don't deliver it, and luckily I did most of the time, but I didn't get any notes or stuff. He just liked what I did and went with it. But if he doesn't do what he wants, he can tell you exactly what he wants, and he'll have you do it again. They don't have infinite funds, so you can't do take after take after take after take after take. But he'll do several takes. You know, he's quite clear about what he wants, which is a lot of directors are just they don't seem to know what they want. They sort of feel their way through it. He's very clear about what he intends to get out of a shot. You know, so that was good. That was good. He's a very bright guy, very bright, and a lot of fun too. He's fun to work with, which is a plus. And his right hand man, Dave Sullivan, who I'm sure you know, right?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. So it was a great fun to work with those guys. Mm-hmm. And they had a great group of people. It was a lot of non-professional actors who were just a lot of fun, and a lot of punks, a lot of people who were actual punks who were great, and some people who were professional actors and really good, and know what they were doing.
Yeah, as an actor, what is that like for you to work with someone who isn't like a professional actor?
Well, it's basically the same as working with a professional actor, except you know that you might not get somebody as precise or disciplined as a professional actor, but a lot of the time, a non-professional actor has more spontaneity. Actors who do it for a living can get locked into a kind of they have actory things that they do, shticks that they fall back on. A non-professional actor does not have that equipment, that arsenal of technical aspects of acting that can sometimes get too actory. You know, so there's a definite plus sometimes to working with those people, and they get you into a more natural mode too. Mm-hmm. So I have no attitude toward working with non-professional actors, unless they're terrible.
Right.
They can be, but even then, you know, you just if you have enough experience delivering, then you just deliver no matter what's going on around you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any really great standout teaching moments, either where someone taught you something or when you shared with someone who was newer?
Well, I've shared this before. About 10 years ago, I guess it was now, I played Santa Claus with Mickey Rooney in a show at Atlantic City. I was Santa Claus, and Mickey was not exactly. Mickey was a very strange man, and he was not operating at full tilt at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
But there were moments on that stage when he looked at me, and I've never been looked at by an actor like that in my life, and I thought, now I know what a star is, because he had. He confronted you with his eyes in a way that just I've been trying to learn from that, because there's something so galvanizing when somebody really is there, and he wasn't there a lot of the time. I had to feed him lines, you know. He was about we'd sing Silver Bells, you know, the old Christmas.
Yeah.
He couldn't remember his lines, but every once in a while you get this look that my God, I can't believe the way this man is looking at me in the eyes, and I've never been looked at like that before, at least on a stage. It was amazing. So it just sometimes I want to say scared, but that's not true. I've been wary of establishing too much eye contact on stage, and ever since Mickey looked at me like that, I thought, I can't be afraid of it. I can't retreat into like looking off or looking away. At some point, you've just got to just be there for the other person, and that taught me a lot. Being there, and I think that there's a scene in Ungovernable Force where I was very happy with what I did because of that. There's a big confrontation scene. I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I have this big monologue, and I tear the hero a new one, and I just lace into him like, and I used that direct confrontation thing that I learned from Mickey Rooney from that, and I've used it on other occasions too. Mickey Rooney, unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, that scene you just mentioned, I thought there was great dialogue in that scene, and your performance was fantastic. It was very intense.
I was really happy with that scene. I really was. And like Paul told you, we didn't really rehearse at all. I mean, that's the part about having a low budget. You don't have a lot of room for rehearsal. So I sort of had to prepare that whole thing myself. But I knew that I was on the right track with his script, because I knew what he was after. And so sometimes you have to sort of like direct yourself. And I knew that Paul, if I did it wrong, he would tell me. But I had a feeling I was on the same page with him, and it turned out that I was.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Would you like to work with them again on future projects?
Oh, absolutely. But they did ask me. They asked me to do a part in The Streets Run Red, which is their current one, and I read the script and I said, "Look, guys, it's torture porn. I just cannot do it. You know,
wow.
That horror is one thing, but torture porn, I cannot deal with those movies. I can't deal with them. They do a number on my head. I just can't get in. I couldn't be in it. So they absolutely totally understood. They said, this is not for everybody, and we know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you seen the movie? Is it ready?
I saw just some rough cuts, because they just finished filming it like a month or so ago, but it's not been edited. I think they just put out the trailer. But I was at the wrap party for the movie, and everyone there was saying that it's more of a mainstream movie than they usually make. Not that it's a mainstream movie, but it's more of a mainstream than more of a horror movie than what they usually do.
Right. But it's torture porn for sure, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that much of it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't.
I read the script, and things were going on in the script that my eyes were bugging out. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this. But to answer your question, I would have fallen in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Annabelle and I were gonna be mental patients in the movie, but it was right when I had my surgery. We were gonna be mental patients in that movie, but it was right when I had my surgery. It was the weekend I had my surgery, so it didn't happen.
Yeah. It was like emergency situation, and what do you do?
Speaking of that movie, The Lives of Hamilton Fish that I was telling you about before, that's on Amazon. I went through that almost that entire movie wearing a catheter.
Oh man, rough.
That was not fun. But I don't know. I got the best reviews of my career in that movie, so maybe I need to wear a catheter.
Wow.
It
wasn't part of the film, was it? It was something.
It was not. It was not. It was part of my life, and thank God it was. I had the operation. It was 4 years ago, and it was a total success. Knock wood, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
Well.
323 area code. Who is this?
Well, hi. I was just calling in because I remembered that you're doing this podcast. This is Rachel Mason.
Excellent. How you doing?
Oh, Rachel Mason. This is the lady who directed The Lives of Hamilton Fish that I was telling you about.
Oh, awesome.
She wrote and directed it. She wrote this awesome score. I was just talking about it. I was saying that I went through the entire movie wearing a catheter. Do you remember that, Rachel?
Well, no comment. You know what, Bill? You're not going to believe this. The film was just screened last night in Los Angeles, and it was a wonderful. People came up to me afterwards asking, "How did we do the lip syncing so well?" And I said, "Well, Bill Weeden is an excellent lip syncer."
It's a wonderful.
The whole film is lip synced.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
so it's a musical film.
Wow.
And last night you did the soundtrack live on stage, right?
Yes. I perform with the film live, and I sing the entire soundtrack. So it's like an ultra trippy experience because there's Bill on screen, I should say, performing his heart out, and then I'm off screen, on stage, live, singing my heart out. And so there's like this doubling happening, and people seem to really love it.
There's no experience like seeing her do it on stage and seeing the film. You can see the film on Amazon, like I said, and it's fine. It's excellent. But the experience of seeing the score being performed on stage live while the movie is really quite amazing and astonishing, and I'm glad you got to do it again last night. That's great, Rachel.
Yeah. Well, but I think what makes it really unique is that I get to actually run into the screened projection area and actually interact with you on the screen. So when your face is up there and you're getting carried off, I literally run onto the projected area and sort of fall into the actual picture. It's very fun.
Yeah.
And so you guys are talking about, we had a great audience, a lot of artists. It was in a art gallery, but to be honest, like the artists at this show were intimidatingly amazing. Like pretty much the very best artists in all of Los Angeles came, and I was stunned because these are people I respect so much, and they were all in the audience watching, and these are people who in their own right make films, or directors and writers and artists, and it was just a very high level caliber of people in the audience. So I was intimidated, but they were amazing and they loved it, which was cool. Thanks to you, Bill.
Well, it was a great honor to be in that movie, and I like I said, it's one of the best things I've ever done. So and it does fit into the horror genre just vaguely, because Albert Fish is about the most horrific character I can ever remember reading about.
there's nobody more terrifying on who ever lived, as far as I know. In fact, the guy who I interviewed who wrote about him wrote the definitive book on serial killers. It's called The Encyclopedia of Serial Killers from A to Z by Harold Schechter. And I interviewed Harold because I wanted to know what he thought of Albert Hamilton Fish. And he said, you know, of all the serial killers I've ever written about, and I've written about all of them, from Charles Manson to John Wayne Gacy, you name it, he said there's really nobody more terrifying than Hamilton Fish, because he had every depravity known to man, and his crimes were committed against children, which there's nothing more horrific. And he was a cannibal. Yet again, nothing more horrific. I mean, he really was overwhelmingly terrifying. And he makes, in fact, I've always hoped there would be a really amazing film about him. There is a film about Albert Fish, and it's sort of like okay, but it's not. Remember, did you watch it while you were doing your research in the character?
I did not because
okay.
I had a hard
You didn't
time
need
just,
to.
Did you say, Annabelle, did you say earlier that Albert Fish had done some terrible things to himself? Is that what you were saying?
Oh, yeah. Horrible things like he stuck needles inside his genitals, among many other things.
Right.
This guy had problems. But he was really, really bad. Not that this is an excuse, not that everybody that gets abused should be running around sticking, but he was very badly abused.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's actually, you know, in an amazing, not that it's like cool in any way, but one thing that's sort of the redemptive piece of it is that by today's standards, somebody like Albert Fish could not get away with what he did, because we now have so many, I mean, knock on wood, in our country, we have a lot of things in place. For instance, DNA evidence. Part of the reason why he was able to be such a prolific serial killer was because they couldn't track down all these people he was killing, and now no one could possibly get away with that. That's one of the things I've read. And the other thing is that, you know, he literally would prey on the most disadvantaged children. So children of color, children who were mentally, you know, disabled, just the worst, really. And by today's standard, we've come a long way to not have people be that vulnerable, you know, but in the 30s, it made you aware, wow, people are so vulnerable. And also, his crime that caught him was that a mother of a daughter let him go to her house. Delia Budd let her daughter, Grace Budd, simply go with him to some unknown place. Wow. And before then, it was totally fine. Yeah, I mean, she thought nothing of letting this nice old man take her daughter to a supposed birthday party, which, of course, he never did. Mm-hmm. But she willingly let him go with him. And that was also the start of stranger danger. You know, after the Albert Fish, he was the very first case of people, you know, finally waking up to stranger danger. So that's sort of like the horrific silver lining of his story, is that, you know, because of all that happened with him, we now have more safeties in place. Sadly,
hopefully kids aren't getting. Hopefully parents aren't getting away with abusing their kids as badly as he was abused.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's always something horrible lurking. Not that that's something to laugh about. There's always something else, but you know, people will be depraved.
Yeah.
We're tenacious. But that's so cool. This is a podcast all about horror?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mostly. It's like horror and cult films is the primary focus. And sometimes it goes off to comics and whatever. Yeah. We talk about lots of other things too, but primarily, yes, that's like our ground.
That's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
Well, it makes so much sense that the lives of Hamilton Fish is on this podcast, and I'm really honored and grateful that you brought in the incredibly brilliant Bill Weeden, who I wish I could work with all the time. But, you know, as an actor, you have to you get pulled in when you look the part and act the part, and you know, I don't have that many roles for serial killers, Bill. I'll have to keep thinking of ways.
He also plays a mean child molester, I've heard. If you just want to go for straight-up child molester, or men whose dogs
urinate
piss importantly in a film.
Isn't it funny, though? Because Bill is actually the most nice person I know. He's up there with the most sweet, kind, and wonderful people. So,
yeah,
good thing you can play. You can play the worst people, Bill, but actually be the best person. Maybe you should run for president. You know, actually, we could use a really great person
this year,
at this moment.
Exactly.
It would be really interesting. Someone who's really good at playing someone bad is actually a great person makes it, instead of someone that pretends to be nice makes it and is actually a real crappy. It happens, but
it's so hard. It's so hard to know if people are acting or not. But what's going on right now is just so unbelievable. It's very hard to actually register reality.
Yeah, it's a mess. But like you said, you kind of were getting at about, human beings do terrible things. And unfortunately, part of that is that there's a lot of crappy people that get into positions of power. And sometimes you get good people and sometimes you don't. But it's the human condition, I guess.
Our
current president looks awesome. What's that?
I'm going to have to hang up fairly soon.
Oh, okay.
No problem. Thank
yeah,
you.
well,
Calling in, Rachel.
myself as well, and I can't wait to listen to this podcast. How can we listen to it?
You go to withoutyourhead.com, and you can listen to it live on Thursday nights, like right now, or you can listen to it anytime. You can download the shows. The podcast information's up there, and we put it up on YouTube and everything. But go to withoutyourhead.com, and everything's there.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, and I'm really grateful that you featured us. And I'll send you the link to the film. Where are you guys based?
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
cool.
Different areas in Massachusetts.
But we love.
Wow. Do you know a guy named Phil Hall by any chance?
Phil Hall? No.
That rings a bell. Because he runs this thing called the New England. Yeah, he used to write. He wrote for Film Threat. He's one of the people that called Hamilton Fish a work of artistic genius and the best film of 2014, and wrote this incredible piece about the film. And basically, he's based out in, I think, Connecticut, but he featured the film in the New England Underground Film Festival, and he's been a huge advocate. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we were gonna. That was another thing. We were gonna go to that, and I actually had emergency surgery that weekend of that, and so I.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Wow. I hope your surgery is you're still here and hope you're okay.
I'm doing much better, thank you. But yeah, we're both we're all really looking forward to this movie. So
thanks so much for calling in,
I'll send you guys links to the film as soon as I get off. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks.
Cool.
Okay,
thanks
great.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
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 No, that was
So, guys,
yeah.
It's about 20 past 10, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to hang up because I got to do some things, and then I got to get up and go back to recording this demo tomorrow. So
awesome.
And I got to go into New York to do that. So I'm in Woodstock. So I'm going back and forth. My wife is here, and then I've been commuting. So I've never thought I'd be a commuter, but
hey, if you've got time, I'm sure I'll be at the stone carving thing for a few days. Would love to see you. It really is awesome.
So that's August 25th, right? We'll communicate in the meantime, so we'll get all the details.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely would love to do that. Just to meet you guys in person, that would be fantastic.
Well, it's been wonderful having you on. It's been a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
I would love to come back. Please ask me again, and we'll do it again. Thank you so much, Annabelle.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And Troy, are you still there?
Oh yeah. Yep, I'm here.
Were you talking part of the time, Troy? I thought it was Neil all the time when I heard a guy. I thought it was Neil.
Oh, it's usually Neil, but that's okay.
Troy is often our silent witness. Every once in a while, he'll come up with
stories. That's my thing.
As long as I didn't ignore him, I
not at all.
You're a good man, Bill.
Okay. Nice to meet you, man. And Neil, great to meet you.
Excellent. It's been awesome to meet you.
And Annabelle too. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Come back anytime.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye.
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 All right. We will be right back.
This is Paul McLarney from Ungovernable Films, and you're listening to Without Your Head.